I'm just going to jump right into it. No introduction, none of that. Guys, did ICE finally schmurder someone on the street? Did they finally perform actions that are related to Nazi Germany in the 1940s? Did they actually go out of their way to harass, beat, smash, and then finally end the life of a random citizen that was just videoing on the side of the street? Of course, that is not what happened. Now, I'm going to be honest. This situation is sad. It's tragic. The shooting of Alex Preddy, it is an unfortunate situation, but we're going to go over it. We're going to analyze some of the footage. And first of all, this was avoidable. We're going to go into why it was avoidable. But one of the first things that we're going to clear up here, and before we show this, we're going to just read headliners, get the overall breakdown, the gist of what's going on. But I just want to point this out. There are tons of media companies, news outlets, showing footage that is, it's very nasty footage that is cut up to make you believe that Mr. Alex Preddy here was just standing on the sidewalk, minding his own business, recording, and then ICE agents just randomly chose to go out of their way, come up to him, shove a lady that he was with, and then finally tackle Alex to the ground, and then finally ending his life, when that's not the case. When that is not the case at all. I've been on Facebook all day, and I'm in a comment thread now, unfortunately, and I'm linking this video because there's so many people that just seem so confused, that don't know the whole footage. I brought up that, well, this is an unfortunate situation. But Alex Preddy was no hero. He wasn't just some random citizen that got picked on. In the footage we're about to see, Alex Preddy and other people, they were in the middle of the road, targeting and harassing ICE agents and trying to impede their work. That's what they were doing. These were not just people on the sidelines acting innocent, utilizing their First and Second Amendment right. And by the way, I have seen a lot of things on the right side as well that are making it a conflict of interest that Mr. Alex had a gun on him. And let me just be clear, I'm a big Second Amendment guy. Alex, he had a gun on him. He had magazines on him. Does not matter. That is his constitutionally protected activity, at least for Minnesota. Minnesota's a state where you can open carry and such. He had his concealed fire license. He was 100% in the right to own that firearm and to have it. That's not the problem, though. And then finally, you can't resist while you also have that firearm on you. It's a tragic, sad situation, but like I said, 100% avoidable. So we're going to go ahead and read off the headline here. So, man killed by federal officers in Minneapolis identified as Alex Preddy, a 37-year-old U.S. citizen and ICU nurse. And that's tragic, awful stuff. I think he's a victim of liberal propaganda. Maybe if Tim Waltz wasn't telling these people to go out of their way to follow and harass agents, maybe Mr. Alex Preddy and Renee Good would still be alive. Maybe they'd still be here with us. But that's not what happened. So, Saturday, January 24th, 2026, federal immigration officers shot and killed 37-year-old man in Minneapolis, Minnesota, during the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Department of Homeland Security said the shooting occurred during a targeted operation, claiming the person had a handgun and 2 magazines, prompting officers to fire in self-defense. And like I said, I've seen a lot. I've seen on the right side, and I condemn it because this guy did some stupid stuff. He was impeding, he was harassing, being a totally ignorant moron. But he does have the right to own that firearm, and I don't have a problem with that. The problem comes when you are resisting officers, resisting arrest, and you have a firearm on you. Just comply. Just comply. Don't freak out. Just comply. Quit fighting. I don't understand. It's so easy. Even if you end up in this situation, just stop fighting. And then your chances of survival whoop, jump up 100%. You won't get shot if you're not sitting there actively defying agents and resisting. Bellingcat's synchronized video reviews shows Alex Pretty identified by colleagues as a registered nurse at the Department of Veterans Affairs holding a phone while multiple agents fired at least 10 shots. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara urged peace and federal officers used batons and flashbangs as hundreds gathered after Saturday's shooting. Accountability concerns grew as federal officials declined to identify officers and excluded state investigators earlier this month, while DHS Post and right-wing outlets amplified the narrative viewed over 17 million times. All right. With that said, we're going to go ahead. We're going to jump here on the lovely land of X. Now, we're going to watch. This is the full video from beginning to end. This is the full video, okay? Now, when it gets cut, that media and news outlets love to just use, I'm going to point that out. And this becomes the real problem. Because the part that they cut out leaves a lot of context that no one cares to even talk about or explain when this stuff gets passed around. Because this is the context you need that turns it from ICE agents acting like actual neo-Nazis and infringing on people's First Amendment rights to, okay, this guy had it coming. Not getting shot. He didn't have getting shot coming, but, you know, ICE agents coming to him and, you know, trying to apprehend him somewhat. He had that coming. So it's just dishonesty, of course. And with that said, let's finally watch the video. There are some gunshots, so if you're a bit squeamish, there's that. But it doesn't really show anything. It's nothing too graphic. And by the way, all of our sources will be linked in the description below, so feel free to check them out. So we have multiple people coming over here, ICE agent here, literally in the middle of the road. They were reportedly, they're following ICE agents, you know, harassing, targeting them, impeding them any way they could. So that's not a good look. So that's already, it's debunked that, you know, this person wasn't just on the sidelines using his First and Second Amendment rights, peacefully protesting, using his camera. That's not what was happening. Of course, this was an agitator that Tim Walz pushed. Tim Walz pushed his people to go out and agitate, and this was one of them. So, you know, when the media tells you this is some innocent bystander that the ICE agents came and infringed his rights, that's not what happened. Not what happened at all. And here he is, by the way. This is the guy that gets got standing in the road,
What the fuck is wrong with you?
harassing. Now, I will say this. I don't think ICE agents were 100% in the clear in this one. Like I said, this is not as clear-cut as a Renee Good situation, but this is still a very blatant F around and find out situation. I think there's some steps that they could have handled better, 100%. There's no doubt about that. No doubt in my mind whatsoever. They could have done things better. I don't quite understand the shoving of this lady at this point. Things could have been handled better. He shoves her. He jumps White Knights to the rescue. Nothing wrong with that. He gets sprayed, pepper spray. He's spraying them. At this point, I don't know. At this point, I don't know. I don't know why he needs to necessarily apprehend him, to be fair, at this point. I'd love to know someone's comment, their take. Sure, they were harassing, impeding, whatever. At this point, though, I feel like you just shove them out of the road and then go on with your business. Unless something else was said or something crazy was done or said that I'm not quite seeing or understanding, I don't see grabbing him and pulling him back and trying to apprehend him. But it's what happened.
The fuck, people? The fuck is wrong with you? Honestly.
Okay. At this point, sorry for all the pauses, but this is important. Sorry for all the pauses. This is important. I just said important. Grown-ass man, by the way. Okay, so this is important. This is a very important key to the story. So, if you listen carefully, there are many agents here, okay? They are going to, you can hear them, they are going to announce, gun, gun, he's got a gun. Because this man was armed. He was concealed carrying. It was on his side. They all announce he's got a gun. Okay. We're going to see from another angle that one of the agents do grab the gun from him. So at that point, he's unarmed. They unarmed him. But, you know, this is a tense situation. I get it. They announce he's got a gun. And then, and you know, truth be told, the agent who maybe got the gun, he could have said, gun, gun. And maybe he was referring that he got the gun. And whether it was a communication problem, lack thereof, whatever, that prompted the agent to begin open firing because he presumed that the guy had a gun, was possibly reaching for it, trying to get to it. He opened fire. And like I said, there are definitely steps to this case. There are definitely things in this scenario that could have been handled better, 100%. But it wasn't cold-blooded murder. You got to think. So in a case like this, with the detail and evidence, what they're going to look to is, with the knowledge at hand, did these agents act accordingly to the knowledge that they had at the time? And the knowledge they had at the time was this guy had a gun. All the shouting of gun, gun, he's got a gun, you know, prompted perhaps a defensive response mechanism. He's got a gun. So, you know, if he's reaching for a gun, trying to pull out a gun, and he gets shot, you know, that's what's going through the ICE agent's head. That's what happened for them. You know, that's kind of their telling, I guess I'll say. And even after the video, you can see them scrambling, looking for the gun because they thought. Now, lack of communication, you can critique it. You can critique the way they did this 100%, but you can't say that they didn't fully believe that this guy had a gun and he was possibly trying to get it. Therefore, they acted accordingly and used self-defense. And like I said, in a case like this, you'd have to prove that without a doubt, yeah, with the knowledge they had, how did they act accordingly? And with the knowledge that you can pretty clearly see that they had, or at least thought they had, they acted accordingly. It's still a tragic situation, still a very sad situation, but still 100% avoidable. And guys, this is what the United States voted for. Let these guys do their job. If you want to protest, go protest on the side. Be peaceful about it. But stop interfering. Stop going out of your way, following ICE agents, targeting them, and harassing them. Please stop. For the love of God, stop it. Or you're going to end up getting shot possibly. So with all that knowledge said, just be open-minded now as we finish watching this video. And this video actually might have the other angles, not so sure yet. Continue. By the way, now that I'm thinking about it, it could also possibly assault on an ICE agent if you're blowing your little rape whistle right in their ears, which happens a lot. That's the only thing I can't stand about seeing all these videos online. Just hearing that damn whistle all the time. We're gonna rewind it. Don't quite know if you can hear them shouting gun. Yeah, thank you. Gun. Yeah, you can hear them say it. It's a little quiet. And then that was that. That clip was posted on Twitter here. The full video. And like I said, news and media outlets refuse to show the entire extent because it doesn't fit their silly little narrative that they want to spin. But here's the problem. This is the exact video that media and news outlets are using. They're starting right here. Now, do you see the problem with how you're going to get people to assume that these ICE agents just randomly came up and shoved these innocent bystanders standing on the side of the road? Do you see the problem there and what you're inciting there and what you're telling? You're brainwashing these people to believe a very specific narrative that just isn't the case, just isn't true. But here's the thing. These people are so retarded that even if they would have showed the full footage from the start, they still would have been saying the same garbage, that ICE is the Gestapo. They need to stop. Hey, we have the rights as citizens to follow, harass, impede, dox, attempt to beat, smash the windows of, be violent with no repercussions. That's our right. They'd still be saying that. So yeah, it's dishonest and it's very scummy. Very, very scummy. And you might be able to hear them say gun and all that in this one a little bit better. Yeah. Gun. Yep. And then here we have a tweet from Cam Higbee. Cam Higbee's a great guy. Boots on the ground. Support this guy big time. We have a list of admin list for several chats. These generally consist of code names. So just a group of people, of course, trying to dox, find out ICE agents' real names and stuff. So they can, of course, threaten the lives of them and their family for no good reason. These are still everyday human beings just like you and me who have families to go back to. It's tragic. On Fox News, we have Kashyap Patel. Kashyap Patel. It's got such a weird name. He claims here that you cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple. Obviously, he's very wrong about that. Of course, you can bring a loaded firearm to a protest. Multiple magazines, 100 magazines, it doesn't matter. That is our Second Amendment right. And I support that right to do so for all American citizens. I do. Of course, it becomes a problem when you're impeding, agitating, and then finally trying to, battle your way out of being arrested and whatnot. That's when it becomes a problem that you have a firearm. That's when you just lay down, put your hands behind your back and say, "Sir, I got a firearm. Please don't shoot me 10 times." And it's that simple. But we're going to take a look at this clip here. They got this one wrong. They got this one very, very wrong. And no, you are allowed to have a firearm. Everyone with a brain knows this. And for the most part, I think the right is pretty good at stating that the problem is not having the gun. The problem is possibly going for the gun, reaching for the gun, while you're trying to impede and trying to resist ICE agents. That's the problem. But the problem is not the gun by itself. Of course, you can have a gun. That's our Second Amendment right. And I expect better from these people. So we'll take a look at this.
I mean, thousands of people are marching through Minneapolis. They are targeting the Border Patrol. I mean, it feels like the rhetoric and the protesting is only ramping up. What is your advice to the people right now who are outraged that this is a second killing at the hands of Border Patrol in 2 weeks?
As Christy said, you cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple. You don't have that right to break the law and incite violence. We will, of course, always protect your First Amendment speech. And if you peacefully protest, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Just not Second Amendment.
Seen a trend
Second
here,
Amendment.
not just in Minnesota, but across the country, in these protests turning into violent scenarios and people attacking law enforcement. That's when you go over the line, and that's when law enforcement steps in.
So fact check. Wrong. You do have a Second Amendment right, especially for Minnesota. To open carry, this guy had his papers in check. He was definitely within the legal capacity of carrying. Mr. Kashyap Patel got this one wrong, and I'm frankly offended that he could be so wrong about our Second Amendment right that me and many Americans hold very near and dear to our hearts. And shockingly, we're actually going to take a step back. We're going to jump to the WNBA. We're going to take a look at Breanna Stewart as she, in a pregame, I believe, held up a sign saying "Abolish ICE." There you go. Unrivaled co-founder and two-time WNBA MVP Breanna Stewart held up an "Abolish ICE" sign during player introductions at Unrivaled on Sunday, one day after federal immigration officers killed a second person in Minneapolis this month. Really, all day yesterday, I was just disgusted from everything that you see on Instagram and in the news. Stewart said on her decision to make a statement, adding that everyone here is feeling that way, one way or another. We're so fueled by hate right now instead of love. Now I want to have simple message of abolish ICE, which means having policies to uplift families and communities instead of fueling fear and violence. Stewart, a four-time NCAA champion at UConn and three-time WNBA champion with the Seattle Storm and New York Liberty, said the U.S. immigration and custom enforcement activity targeting immigrants nationwide hits home even more given her wife, Marta Zargay Quesademont, is a Spanish citizen and still working to get U.S. citizenship. So there we go. That's some big headlines hitting the news from WNBA. I'm sure all 15 of them are really feeling it. All 15 supporters of the WNBA who watch it. Come on, man. This is a joke. Abolish ICE. We need ICE agents, guys. We've been soft for too long. I mean, it's an absolute joke. We have to have immigration. We have to have immigration enforcements from these ICE agents. This has to be done. We do not have a country unless we have ICE, unless we have people to enforce immigration. We cannot let every single person who wants to come here just come in here willy-nilly by the millions. We can't just let every single person in the world come in here at the cost of nothing. Who come here, they drive up the cost of living, drive up wages. It's ridiculous. We need immigration enforcement, and to abolish it is just the utmost ridiculous, even more ridiculous than actually sitting at a WNBA game in the first place. And guys, before we end the video here, just popped up a couple hours ago, I think, today. The third supposed shooting that I've seen headlines about. Man injured after handling flashbang during violent unrest. I think this was a woman, by the way. I could be wrong. But this person grabbed a flashbang, it went off in their hand, and then they cried wolf. Because, of course, they did. These people are the dumbest creatures on planet Earth. And when it's F around and find out, and it doesn't result in death, I must say it's pretty comical.
Medic.
Oh my god.
Screaming
Oh my
medic,
God.
medic, and then flopping like a fish. That's... That's so...
Oh my god.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my god. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I must admit, that is pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. That is pretty comical. To grab a live flashbang with your hand, it's absolutely insane to me. It's pretty hysterical. Let ICE do their jobs at the end of the day. And like I said, I've seen headlines that this was a possible third shooting going on. Not the case at all. They just flopped like a fish. They grabbed a live flashbang. Doesn't get any better than that. Guys, with that said, Jesus Christ is King. Repent and believe in the gospel. Let me know what you guys thought about my takedown, my analysis down below. What did you guys think about it? What do you think about the situation in total? Once again, the schedule is going to be a video every Monday through Thursday with shorts sprinkled in between as well. Let me know how this setup could get better, how the editing, how everything could get better. If you guys don't mind, I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye.